Hi, I'm Fran, and I'm really happy to be with you as part of the Social Enterprise Growth Accelerator, or SEGA as we know it. I'm from Mantle, which is a consultancy practice based in Sheffield, and we work with social enterprises regularly, as well as with charities and with purpose-driven organisations around leadership development, resilience, training, mentoring and consulting. I've more than 20 years experience in social welfare. I worked across housing and homelessness organisations for over 2 decades, and most recently was the chief exec of Nomad in Sheffield, which is a housing and homelessness charity. We had a social enterprise trading subsidiary which I established, and the subsidiary was set up to reinvest its profits back into the charity to make the charity more sustainable. So that operates as a private sector letting agency specialising in working with single homeless people. So I have lots of experience working across social enterprise and across charities who are becoming more entrepreneurial and who are looking to generate revenue. Alongside that, I also have my own Tech for Good startup, Family Phone, and I have a lot of experience consulting across Tech for Good, across the really commercial end of social enterprise and across social enterprise in general. And amidst all of that experience, there's one thing that I see again and again, and that's social enterprise leaders that are really struggling and trying to avoid burnout. I think that social enterprise leaders have a huge commitment to their social impact and to their organisation, but more often than not, I see them carrying the weight of their entire organisation on their own shoulders, and inevitably, there's only so much any one person can take. So I think what we need to do is think about resilience in broader terms. This isn't just about resilience in the kind of fluffy, do some more exercise, eat well, make sure you meditate, make sure you get 8 hours of sleep a night kind of way. This is about resilience for your entire organisation. This is about making sure that your organisation's foundations are so strong that you don't have to carry the entire weight of it on your own shoulders. And heaven forbid you might want to be, sick from time to time or have a holiday or a day off. If your organisation is really strong and really resilient at its foundations, then you can comfortably walk away from it for a period of time, or even leave at some point if you want to, safe in the knowledge that that organisation can and will continue without you. So as I said, I really think that leadership resilience goes way beyond personal well-being, and we're all very good at making sure that we're meditating and that we're sleeping well and that we're eating well, or at least, we try our best. But actually, this is about making sure that your organisation is structurally resilient so that you as an individual can sustain and can be more resilient yourself, and you can avoid burning out as a leader. So what that means is making sure that you're creating an environment where both you and the organisation are as strong as possible, so that both of you can operate independently of each other without burning out, without collapsing, and that everything will continue even in your absence. So at the heart of this approach to organisational resilience, I really think it's worth revisiting your mission and your vision. Now, I know we talk about this in kind of blasé terms. We do our mission and vision statement. It sits in a strategy. It sits on a shelf. You as a leader might refer back to it when you're making strategic decisions. But if it's not embedded into everything that your organisation does, really you're carrying the weight of that entire vision and mission on your own. And when you're working in social impact, that's a big weight to carry. If your organisation is set up to achieve a social purpose, and you're carrying the weight of that mission and vision all on your own shoulders, it's no wonder you're feeling absolutely exhausted. So this is really about how you can embed the mission and vision into everything that your team thinks, everything that your team does. So it's about transitioning to a team-driven purpose, making sure that every single member of your team acts as a steward of that organisational objective, of your organisational objectives, of your strategic vision, of the mission of your organisation. So thinking about how you can distribute that pressure and prevent burnout and collectively problem solve based on your collective understanding of your mission and vision. So that might include, for example, making sure that every single decision that you make is embedded in your mission and vision, so that your mission and vision embed in your strategic values, in your performance management, in your recruitment process, in your governance, in your decisions whether to start a new project or not. But if you're collectively holding the vision and mission of the organisation with everybody else in your team, then it doesn't have to all sit on your individual shoulders. So this leads me on to how decentralizing decision making can actually be quite helpful when it comes to reducing burnout and helping you as a leader to become more resilient. If you're the kind of leader that likes to carry everything and control everything, then eventually you're going to keel over. There's only so much any one person can take. But alongside this, it's actually putting your organisation at risk, even though it might not feel like it. If everything sits with you, if you have to sign off every single decision, then what happens if, heaven forbid, you're hit by a bus tomorrow? What happens to your organisation? It can't continue. It makes also bottlenecks. It creates bottlenecks in the decision-making process. So you could have a queue of people who need something to be decided and signed off, and they can't move forward with their own work because you have a to-do list as long as your arm and you're not able to sign off those decisions. So if you can cultivate a resilient decision-making culture, that will help somewhat towards making sure that things move more quickly, they move more reliably, and they're much more robust so that it doesn't have to all sit with you. So that might include, for example, making sure that you've got clear frameworks for decision making at every level of the organisation and clear levels of delegated accountability and responsibility, so everybody knows what decisions they can make, what's expected of them, what parameters they can make them within, and what the overall end goal is. So it speaks to your mission and vision. If everybody in your organisation is clear on what your mission and vision are, then they know that they have to make the decisions that align with that mission and vision. So this is going to build much stronger foundations for your business, but it's also going to empower your people. It's going to help with your strategic growth It's going to help with your strategic growth, and it's also going to help your people with their own personal well-being and their own resilience. So this next point might feel quite self-evident, but think about how strong your organisation is financially. If you have a really robust financial position in your organisation, then your organisation will be really robust. And of course, the stronger your organisation is, the more resilient you will be as a social entrepreneur. So how can you do that? It may be that you need to generate more revenue, but actually we know that's easier said than done. So there are some steps that you can take to think about how you can make your organisation more financially robust, even if it means that you're not necessarily bringing in any more money. So think about how you can improve the bedrock and the foundations of your organisation and what you do and how you make decisions financially. Think about the practical steps that you can take. For example, developing policies and procedures or clear processes about how you manage your finances, how you oversee transactions, how you pay people or receive payments, how you make decisions about spending money, how you make decisions about fundraising or trading, or even strategic decisions about which projects you should be taking on and whether or not they're financially viable. Think about how your board should or could be involved in that decision-making process. Think about how many people should be involved in that decision-making process so that it doesn't all sit on your shoulders. And of course, lastly, think about how you can diversify your income, because of course, the more income sources you have, if one of them fails, the less likely your organisation is to fail. So looking at your finances holistically, it's not just about more money equaling more robust organisation. It is, think about how you can think about how, so this isn't just about more money meaning, so it doesn't just mean that the more money you have coming in. So the next point is around operational adaptability. The more adaptable you are, the more resilient you will be. So this is about making sure that you can respond to threats, to opportunities, both internally and externally, that you have the systems and the processes in place to allow you to adapt and to pivot according to the needs of the organisation. So this again speaks back to the processes around decision making. If every decision around how you adapt as an organisation has to sit with you, then you're going to have a massive backlog of decisions that you need to be thinking about as the organisation's leader. And of course, that's going to sit on your shoulders and add to your burden. So think about how you might implement systems and processes that will make your day-to-day operations a bit more smooth, to operate a bit more independently, so that things will keep going when you're not around. Think about how you do things and turn them into processes. I'm sure that your team have ways that they do things. Ask them what those ways are and write those ways down. And the more you do that, the more you study the way that things happen, the more efficient you will become. And then that can be standardized. That can be the way that the team does things, so that you know if you're not there, things will continue to happen in the way that you expect. And being able to foster a mindset of adaptability, of innovation, of flexibility is so important. Speaking back to the idea that we had around mission and values being the guiding force, the North Star of your organisation, if you foster a mindset of proactivity and responsiveness, then people will be able to adapt and pivot with confidence, knowing that they're responding to opportunities and threats in line with your organisation's strategic vision and in line with the decision-making protocols that you have. So last but not least, think about your network. We know that having a network around us is the thing that gives us a safety net. If we have support during the most challenging times, things are just so much easier. So that applies to you as an entrepreneur, of course, but it also applies to your business. Having that network around you of stakeholders, of customers, of community members who can provide advice or support or resource or just a safety net or a shoulder to cry on during the really challenging times is really important, both for you and for your team. And it also gives you a platform from which you can share best practice and you can learn from the experiences of others. Having a network is the most important thing as a business owner. If you nurture those relationships through regular communication, even through collaboration, it's going to strengthen you as an entrepreneur, and it's also going to amplify your impact across the wider community. So think about who is in your network, how you can utilise it better, how you can nurture it, and how you might depend on it if the time comes where you really need to take a step back. So we've spent about 10 minutes doing a very, very brief whistle-stop tour of resilience in leadership and in organisations, in social enterprises. I see this every single day in my journey as a consultant. I work with leaders of social enterprises and many other types of business who are burnt out and who are carrying everything on their shoulders. And often there are things that they could do within their organisation that would make their organisation more resilient and more stable, that would allow them to just take some of that burden off a bit. So we've looked at things like making sure that your mission and vision are clear and are embedded throughout the team, so everybody's swimming in the same direction. We've looked at things like making sure that your governance structures are really clear and that everybody's empowered in how they make decisions. And we've looked at financial strategies and making sure that your financial processes are not placing you or your business at unnecessary risk. So all of this is a huge amount of work. This is not to be underestimated. If you're going to make your organisation resilient, it's an ongoing process and it will carry on being iterative throughout your role as an entrepreneur and as a business leader. But what you can do is reach out for help if there's anything that would be useful for us to get involved with helping you with. So SEGA can offer you support as a social entrepreneur. We can help you with any aspect of what I've talked about today, or indeed anything else that you're struggling with as a social entrepreneur. So please don't be scared to reach out. We would be very, very happy to work with you and to support you in your entrepreneurial journey.